The
This meeting is being recorded.
of the Environmental Resources Committee to order. We'll start off with item number 2, the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we jump into general public comment, I just have one little housekeeping item to go through. There, believe it or not, is another county committee meeting this afternoon. I know that's hard to believe, but there is another one. The Social Services Board is meeting at 1:30, and our good friend and colleague here, Supervisor Drabeck, would like to make that meeting. So we also have a little bit of an issue being that there's 5 members here, that if we dip below 5, we don't have a quorum. So what we might have to do is recess at 1:30, let Al go do his meeting. It shouldn't take more than 20 minutes or so, maybe not even that.
Probably, yeah.
Yep, should be a short meeting.
Supervisor Zhang runs a good meeting.
Okay, there you go. We'll gavel back in after Al's done. He's just going to go out, take the phone call in the hallway. So that's where we're at right now. I just wanted to let everybody know that. But with that being said, let's jump right into this. Item number 3, public comment, 15-minute limit. Do we have anybody signed up? Nope. All right. Moving on to item number 4, approval of the December 5th, 2023 committee minutes. Motion by Supervisor Ritter to approve, second by Supervisor Strafinski. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to item number 5, operational functions required by statute, ordinance, or resolution. We have public hearings, review, possible actions, and possible recommendations to the County Board for its consideration, county zoning changes. I just ask that everybody please mute your electronic devices if you're attending in person, and if you're joining us online, please mute yourselves if you are not speaking. The Marathon County ERC is now meeting in public hearing on the location plans, specifications, purpose of the following projects. We've got 2 today, 5A1. Tim Vreeland on behalf of Steve Banks, low density residential and general agriculture to rural residential and general agriculture, town of Spencer. And 5A2, Keith Baxter on behalf of Clara Miller, general agriculture to rural residential, town of Green Valley. Members of the committee present, myself, Supervisor Longenhan, we have Supervisor Drabeck, Supervisor Seefeld, Supervisor Stravinski, and Supervisor Ritter. We also have staff to assist present as well. The establishment of the ERC is required by law for purposes of administration and county ordinances and land conservation programs. This committee must follow state laws and local ordinances as written. This committee cannot change or ignore any part of the ordinance or state laws, must apply the laws as written. The purpose of this committee is to hear and decide on proposed ordinances and ordinance revisions, rezoning petitions, and provide direction on land conservation and planning programs. The ERC will give a full and fair hearing to any person applying for a rezone petition. A taped recording is being made of the meeting, which will assist with preparation of written hearing minutes. The committee is interested in hearing all pertinent comments and questions. Each hearing will be opened by reading the public notice and allowing staff to present a staff report, including evidence from any on-site inspection. The applicant and anyone wishing to testify will be sworn in and allowed to give testimony. Witnesses will be called in the order of those first in favor, second opposed, and then third as interested may appear. The committee may ask questions of the zoning staff and applicant. It is necessary that we set a reasonable time limit on individual statements on the overall length of the hearing. To promote orderly discussion, anyone wishing to present oral testimony or ask questions relating to the hearing should state your name and present your testimony or questions so it becomes part of the official record. We request you avoid repetition. Once the committee has all the necessary facts, chairman will close the hearing, allowing no further testimony, and the committee will deliberate and decide in front of the public whether the applicant has met the standards in the ordinance. No additional testimony from the public is allowed during the deliberation. However, the committee may question staff for purposes of clarification. After a decision is made, the committee will proceed to the next hearing. Many of the decisions made by the committee are a recommendation to the Marathon County Board of Supervisors, who will take up the matter at a future county board meeting. Please contact staff for more information regarding this county board process. And the committee will now hear the application of 5A1. Tim Vreeland on behalf of Steve Banks, low density residential and general agriculture to rural residential and general agriculture, town of Spencer. And we will begin with our staff report. Garrett, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, this is a petition of Steve Banks to petition to rezone land. Staff report should be January 5th, 2024. Environmental Resources Committee. The petitioner is Tim Vreeland, 6103 Dawn Street, Weston, Wisconsin, 54476. Property owner is Steve Banks at 203970 County Road V, Spencer, Wisconsin, 54479. Area proposed to be rezoned is located on County Road V, just north of the intersection of County Road V and Twin View Drive. The petition of Tim Vreeland on behalf of Steve Banks to amend the General Code of Ordinance for Marathon County, Chapter 17 zoning code to rezone lands from LDR low-density residential and GA general agriculture to RR rural residential and GA general agriculture located in part of the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 19, Township 26 North, Range 2 East, Town of Spencer. Area proposed to be rezoned to GA general agriculture is described as part of Lot 1, and the area to be rezoned to RR rural residential is described as Lot 2 of the preliminary CSM, parcel PIN numbers as shown. The Town of Spencer Town Board met on November 14th, 2023. Marathon County Environmental Resource Committee is meeting today, January 5th, 2024 at 3 p.m. A legal advertisement was published in the Wausau Daily Herald. Notice of the zoning change request was also sent by regular mail to adjacent property owners within 300 feet of the subject property. On November 14th, 2023, the Town of Spencer Town Board recommended approval to Marathon County's Environmental Resources Committee. Staff recommendation, the rezone meets all the zoning district standards as it relates to size, frontage, access, and dimension. The rezone also appears to be consistent with the purpose and intent of the town's comprehensive plan and as indicated by the town's resolution. Based on the information provided above, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the town's recommendation, it appears the rezone request meets all the rezone criteria and standards for rezoning. Therefore, CPZ staff recommend that the Environmental Resources Committee recommend approval to the Marathon County Board of Supervisors. Should the rezone be approved by Marathon County Board of Supervisors, CPZ staff recommend that the town update its comprehensive plan to reflect the zoning change if applicable. So in the resolution that the town sent, they did have a couple of things that were not checked. So I did reach out to the clerk of the Town of Spencer, Dennis Gonering, and we did get the following reply to those questions. Has the applicant demonstrated the need for the proposed development at this location? Their answer was yes. If cropland is being consumed by this rezone, what is the productivity of agricultural land involved? Their answer to that was no.
Well, thank you for reaching out to the Town of Spencer. Greatly appreciated. So, any questions for Garrett? All right. Thanks, Garrett. We'll move on to public testimony. Anybody wishing to speak in favor of the proposed rezone, please either unmute yourself if you're joining us by phone over or by computer over WebEx, or please approach the microphone in the back. State your name and I'll swear you in. I'll call one more time after this, given that I don't believe we had anybody signed up for this one. So anybody wishing to speak in favor of the 5A1 rezone? Seeing and hearing none. I'll call once for anybody wishing to speak against. Anybody wishing to speak against the rezoned 5A1, please identify yourself this time. One call. And then lastly, I'll call once for this as well. Anybody wishing to speak as interested for item 5A1, please identify yourself at this time. Seeing as no one else wishes to testify for this application, I'm now declaring the public hearing on Tim Vreeland on behalf of Steve Banks, low-density residential and general agriculture to rural residential and general agriculture, Town of Spencer, now closed. The committee will now deliberate on the application and apply the standards of the zoning ordinance. I think a motion to approve would be in order in this one, especially because it looks like the future land use, it's consistent with the new zoning designations which would be made with these changes. So, Supervisor Shafinsky?
I would like to make a motion for 5A1, Tim Vreeland on behalf of Steve Banks, low-density rural residential to general agriculture and to rural residential and general agriculture, Town of Spencer, that based on the approval of the town board and on staff recommendations that we recommend approval to the county board.
Okay. Motion is made. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Drabeck. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 5A2, Keith Baxter on behalf of Clara Miller, General Agriculture to Rural Residential, Town of Green Valley.
All right, this is the one that we heard that was presented to you guys last month on 12/5. Did you want to go through the staff report again? This is the one where the town of Green Valley requested an extension. They had some questions about access to the fields. Did we want to go over that again, or did you want to hear what the resolution was?
No, but can you just briefly summarize what the town ultimately arrived at?
Yep, they did decide to approve it. They were satisfied with Keith Baxter's explanation about access to the farm field. So they did on December 12th, 2023, recommend approval and I'll just read the staff recommendation. The rezone meets all the zoning district standards as it relates to size, frontage, access, and dimension. The rezone also appears to be consistent with the purpose and intent of the town's comprehensive plan and as indicated by the town resolution. Based on the information provided above, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the town's recommendation, it appears the rezone request meets all the rezone criteria and standards for rezoning. Therefore, CPZ staff recommend that the Environmental Resources Committee recommend approval to the Marathon County Board of Supervisors. Should the rezone be approved by Marathon County Board of Supervisors, CPZ staff recommend that the town update its comprehensive plan to reflect the zoning change if applicable.
Okay. Any questions for Garrett? All right, thanks, Garrett. All right, and again, because I don't have anybody signed up on the sheet here, I'm going to call once for those in favor, those opposed, and then as interested. So we'll jump right into this. Firstly, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the proposed rezone 5A2, please identify yourself this time, one call. Anybody wishing to speak opposed to item 5A2, please identify yourself this time, one call. And then lastly, anybody wishing to speak as interested for item 5A2, please identify yourself this time, last call. All right, seeing as no one else wishes to testify for this application, I'm now declaring the public hearing on Keith Baxter on behalf of Clara Miller, General Agriculture to Rural Residential, Town of Green Valley, now closed. The committee will now deliberate on the application, apply the standards of the zoning ordinance. I think a motion to approve here would be appropriate as well. Supervisor Seefeld.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion for the petition of Keith Baxter on behalf of Carla Miller to amend the General Code of Ordinance for Marathon County, Chapter 7.
Hello.
To rezone.
Hello. This is Mitch McGuire.
Hold on one second, sir. Did you wish to testify during the public hearing portion?
Yes.
For the,
I'm supervisor for the township.
just hold on. If you want to offer information, I got to swear you in, but I just want to confirm for item 5A2, you want to offer testimony, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you're, okay. So Mitch, I'm going to reopen the hearing here. So the hearing's been reopened.
Okay.
I'm going to swear you in. So just state your name first.
I am Mitchell McGuire.
Okay.
That's Maguire.
Okay. So Mitch, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I will. I do.
Okay. Go ahead, Mitch. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have any quorum or quorums with Keith Baxter. The only thing is, if that you subdivide that property, there's no driveway to that field that they rent, and he would have to go through the farmland, the original home place to get onto that property. So I had told him that if he wanted to do that, he would have to put a culvert in off of County Trunk S or C. You have to apply for a permit, of course, because the county requires that. And I don't know if you guys need to put that in the paperwork.
It's been noted as part of the testimony, Mitch. So we appreciate it. I guess my question would be to you that you communicated this to the landowner, correct?
Yes, I had told him that, but then he had told me something else, that his aunt owns some property just to the west of his mom's place, and that they were using that, the private driveway for accessing the land over there, which has nothing to do with what he's divvying up his mom's place, but he was going to use that for an access point, and that's not the correct way of doing it. You got an access point or you don't.
But how is you mentioned it, I think it was one of the first things you said. What was the means of access that he currently has?
Right through the homestead.
Right through the homestead, okay.
Property.
Yep. Okay.
So all he's got to do is apply for a permit for a culvert and a couple loads of gravel,
Yeah.
and the county accepts it. That's good to go.
Okay.
But he needs to do that.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions for Mitch?
Okay.
All right. Oh, Supervisor Shafinsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mitch, this is Supervisor Sherfinsky. So I guess I'm not clear at this point. Has the town approved the potential rezone, or is the approval contingent upon the installation of this culvert?
Well, what happened was before the last meeting, he had told me, or called me and told me that he had access on his aunt's side. Okay. So I told the board when we went to had the meeting that day, I told the board that it was all okay. Well, then his cousin came that owns the Clara Miller property and said, well, no, that's my mom's property, that he doesn't necessarily have access to the land on his mom's side. It's just that they let him go through there because he's a relative. And that's not the right way of doing things. It's either you have access or you don't. So then Dana Selinsky sent in the thing saying that we approved it after the fact, and it's got approved, but it's approved to the point where he just needs to put a culvert in off the highway, someplace, somewhere. And I had told him that prior to.
So there's well, I'm going to save that discussion for deliberation. I'm not going to start the discussion right now, but
Yeah, right.
yeah. Any other questions for Mitch? Okay. Mitch, sorry with the technology piece there. Thanks for your patience. I'm glad we got to connect here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I was going to go there, and I thought, well, why do I got to drive to the courthouse all the way for like 15 minutes?
Sure.
I go there enough. Okay.
Very good. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yep.
All right. Well, just in case, I'll call just generally once. Anybody wishing to speak on this rezone for item 5A2, please identify yourself this time. Last call. All right. Now we got nothing. So I'm going to close the hearing now. We're going to jump back into deliberation. So Supervisor Seefeld, you got interrupted during your motion, so I'm just going to view that as there's no motion on the floor right now. So we'll just have a discussion here. What I'm going to say is that, so the town did approve it, right, Garrett?
That's correct.
Okay. The property owner knows what they need to do. And I do not believe that the culvert aspect is something that we can base a denial off of, right? That's another additional piece that's separate from this process.
Right, and
Okay.
in this particular instance, this property, the remnant property, has plenty of road frontage to be separated, and so does the, would be Lot 1 as well. Being that it's on the corner of two county roads, the highway department is the only ones that can approve a driveway. If they don't approve a driveway off of that, he's going to have to figure something out. It can be accomplished by an easement, like that, but it would be up to the highway department if he is able to obtain a driveway permit from them and where they approve it.
Sure. The important thing about that, and that's why I appreciate having Mr. McGuire's testimony, is that the applicant was made aware of this. They have the knowledge of it. And the other thing I want to highlight from the testimony is that it sounds like there is existing access through that homestead.
Right. It looks like they've been coming through the homestead onto that field, or from his cousin's property or his aunt's property.
Sure.
But as far as zoning standard, the driveway portion isn't important. It's all about the road frontage for that district.
That's fair. Because it was offered during testimony, that's why I wanted to ask.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion for the matter? Okay, would the committee like to make a motion? Supervisor Seefeld.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will make a motion for the petition of Keith Baxter on behalf of Clara Miller to amend the General Code of Ordinance for Marathon County, Chapter 17, Code to rezone land from general ag to rural residential in the town of Green Valley, and to forward it to the county board and to pass all conclusions of law.
Motion is made. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Sherfinsky. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, it is 1:22. Supervisor Drabeck, what time do you think you need to step out?
About 4 minutes.
4 minutes? Okay, I'm just looking at what we can get through here in 4 minutes. Well, we've got nothing for B. For C, I think, well, let's start it and see how far we get. So C, review and possible action to County Board for its consideration. 1, Tim Vreeland on behalf of Paul and Carrie Simonis, General Agriculture to Rural Residential, Town of Gunther. So this matter was referred back to the committee from County Board last month. We are not having another hearing today because the questions that were asked at County Board were clarifying questions, and per Corporation Counsel's advice, we could just have our deliberation here. We can make a decision and forward that decision on to the County Board. So there were a couple of matters that were raised at County Board. Staff looked into them, and Garrett, do you want to address those?
Yeah, I can do
Okay.
that. So one of the first question was whether or not this proposed land division creates what's called a flag lot. It does not create a flag lot. There is enough road frontage where it's just a standard lot and it's just a different type of shape. It's not a perfectly square shape. So what does not meet the definition of a flag lot?
So help me out here, because I've not heard that terminology. What is a flag lot then?
We do have some handouts and everything for you. We
Oh,
did
okay.
prepare just a little bit of educational stuff on this just to help out. Makes it a lot easier when you see it. All right, so when you look at the top here, from Chapter 17, Section 17-20203F, talks about the minimum frontage for flag lots. Minimum frontage of an existing street shall be 66 feet when it is determined by the administrator that obtaining the required frontage per Table 2, which is the one that describes our district sizes and what the road frontage requirement is, established by zoning district is not feasible, or requiring such frontage would be unnecessarily burdensome. Taking into consideration lot arrangement, configuration, environmental conditions, pre-existing structures, and intent of the land division or development. So, a couple examples of, I got a couple of legal flag lots and then ones that are just regular lots. So the first one is a legal flag lot. It has the 66-foot road frontage, and it's a legal flag lot because it's two differing uses. The house is separated from the ag use, so you have a residential use and an ag use, and they are not, and that house is not part of the original farm. So that would be a legal reason to create a flag lot there. Another reason that you can create a flag lot is in order to gain access to a landlocked parcel. So the second one shows a landlocked parcel of approximately 40 acres that doesn't have any access to the road. This way they have their 66 feet at the road frontage, and the only thing that can be used for is access purposes. You can't put a structure or anything on that because it doesn't meet the lot width at the building. So that's the second reason that you can make a legal flag lot. So in this case, the Simonis proposal is most like the third example. This is by definition not a flag lot. So would be zoned rural residential where the minimum road frontage is 100 feet. It looks like a typical flag lot, but because it meets the road frontage, it doesn't qualify as a flag lot. It's just another one of those oddly shaped parcels. And they can be created for a number of reasons. Wetlands are usually the main environmental concern in order to get access to the road. Different structures that are placed, whether, non-conforming structures, crossing parcel lines, that kind of thing. Those are all considerations that the zoning administrator can make in determining whether it is appropriate to have a flag lot created in that area. Now, the fourth one is kind of an interesting shape as well. This is technically a parcel. It would not be a flag lot. So this parcel is currently zoned, it's an existing parcel. It is zoned general agriculture, and the minimum road frontage of a general agriculture lot is 200 feet. This one has 395 feet of road frontage, and would meet in those two sections, the section to the north and the larger section to the south, are compliant areas to build a structure because of the building width, or the lot width where the building site is. The long, narrow strip is only to be used for access. Yeah. So similarly, the Simonis one would be defined as a parcel, and it's just a different shaped parcel.
Thank you, Chair. Garrett,
We're gonna do your question, and then Al's got a dip, okay? So.
gotcha.
Okay.
So just for my knowledge, I'm just trying to understand the definitions and the legalities a little bit more deeply. If we had a situation where the width of the access strip was 50 feet, that would not be considered a legal flag lot. Is that correct?
If they're creating it at this point. So those lots that are under the 66 feet, that go down to the 33 feet, that were created on or prior to February 16th of 2016, those are considered legal access for a residential lot. Now, under this current ordinance, you would have to have a minimum of 66 feet or a residential easement of 66 feet in order to get there, to put a residence on it.
Thank you.
All right, so for
Chair
those.
Longenhan, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I would like the caller ending in the digits 8-5 to identify themselves, just to assure it's not a supervisor. So that, before we take a recess. So. Caller ending in the last two digits 8-5, could you identify yourself? Caller ending in the last two digits 8-5, I think you're on mute. Could you identify yourself?
Yes, this is Tim Vreeland.
Okay. So it is not a supervisor. So.
So with that being said, unfortunately, we'll recess. We're going to recess until 1:45, and then I'll give an update to those joining us electronically and those in person whether or not we can continue the meeting. So we're going to recess until 1:45. Thank you.
You're now